Hello everyone, my name is Rachita Mathur, currently working as a legal intern at LEXCLIQ. So today I'll be discussing on a topic theft. So theft is provided under section 378 of IPC as whoever intending to take dishonestly any movable property out of the possession of any person without that person consent moves that property to such taking has said to commit a theft. Now there are 5 explanations of the said definition which are further illustrated by the 16 example. Hence we can say that section 378 of IPC defines theft as the dishonest removal of movable property out of the possession of any person without that consent of that person. Now dishonest intention and intention is one of the same thing. Like we can take the example where B owes the money to C for getting his car repaired, and if C keeps the car with him lawfully as a security for debt and B takes that car out of the C possession with the intention of depriving C property, that is of car, which acted as a security for B's debt. So here B has committed a theft in as much as he takes it dishonestly. Thus, it can also be concluded from the above situation that a person can be convicted of stealing his property if he takes it dishonestly from another. However, section 378 of IPC, an illustration is being provided under the clause of P, suggests that when anything is being taken under a claim of right, provided that such a claim is fair, good and bona fide, the thing so taken can't be dishonest and such a thing can't amount to theft. Further, section 379, where punishment for theft has been provided, that imprisonment for a term which may extend up to 3 years or fine or both. Further, in case of movable property, the subject matter of theft must be a movable property and it must not be in a static one immovable property. Further, movable property has been defined under section 22 of IPC. Now, in case of animal, so while mentioning the above about the movable property under section 378, it also includes animal in its definition. The section itself explains the matter which is related to the animal, that any animal which is a pet, that is, any animal within the possession of the owner is considered to be the property of that owner. Any property which is being taken away from the owner without that consent of the owner amounts to theft. Further, we can take another example where A, being Z's servant, is entrusted by Z with the care of his dog and takes and sells the dog to some other party, while without the Z consent. So here, A act will amount to theft. Now further, in case of fish, a fish being in free state is regarded as a wild nature, while if a fish is being roaming freely, is not subject of absolute ownership, a qualified property in such animal might not be acquired by taking or while they are on one estate, but they are said to be in the possession of that person who has the possession of any area which is full of water like a tank. Fishes are also regarded as being in the possession of a person who owns an exclusive right to catch them in a fishery but only within that spot. Thus, theft can be said to have been committed if a fish from a tank which is in the possession of its holder is caught by the offender without the consent of the owner. While in case of human corpse, in IPC can be considered to be a special case, there can be many arguments in support of this statement, like a dead body is not a person in the eye of law. Hence, if it not being a person, removal of movables from a body cannot amounts to theft. To be considered a theft, the movable property has to be taken out of the possession of any person without his consent, and dead body is not a person. So removing ornaments from the dead body hence can't be equated to the removal of ornaments from the possession and consent of the person. However, the proper provision to deal with this kind of case is provided under section 403 of IPC under criminal misappropriation. Further, the theft of electricity is a cognizable offence and police can investigate without any complaint by the electrical inspector, the investigation does not require any complaint that has been filed by the person aggrieved by the theft or at the instance of that government. Further, in case of possession, we can say that possession means the state of having, owning or controlling something. Although there are many kinds of possession, some of important ones are constructive and joint possession. Further, in case of without consent, so for better understanding on the concept of free consent and what constitute of a free, we can say that consent could be implied or expressed. Further, it may be of the person in possession or by any person having implied or expressed authority for that person. Like we can take one example where A asks for a charity from Z wife and Z wife gives the money, food and clothes of which A is aware that they belong to Z, her husband. Here, A may think that Z wife is authorized to give away the money, food to poor people if this was A intention in the form of an impression that he has not committed the theft. The case would have been entirely different if A was a illicit lover of Z wife and she, that is the Z wife, gives a valuable property which A owes to belong to her husband Z, and Z has not been given authority to his wife to give the property away at her discretion. Here, if A takes the property dishonestly, he has committed a theft. Now, in case of moving or taking, A puts a treat for B's dog to induce the Z dog to follow him. Here, if A intended to dishonestly take Z dog out of the possession of Z without his consent, then A has definitely committed a theft as soon as the B dog has begun following him. Like in another case where A meets a bullock carrying a box of treasure and he drives that bullock in a certain direction dishonestly and taking the treasure in his possession. So here in this case also A has committed a theft of treasure as soon as the bullock begins to move. Further, section 380 of IPC where punishment for the commission of theft in a building, tent or vessel being used for dwelling or residence, the object of this provision is to provide the greater security to the property in dwelling premises. The punishment for this is imprisonment up to 7 years along with fine. That's all for the day. Thank you.